Hi, today we're going to talk about context. So we're looking at how our situation, the situation that we're in as speakers or as writers, affects our language use. Alright, so there's two types of context that we're going to talk about in English language. They are situational context and cultural context. So these are the things that make up situational context. So we can see that in the middle, all of the things around the outside are the things that affect or create the situational context. So they include the semantic field, the setting, the mode, the function, the audience, and the relationship between participants. So none of these things are new to us. We just need to remember to group them all together as situational context. Cultural context, on the other hand, is made up of two things. So it's the participants' values, attitudes, and beliefs is one part, and then the other part is the wider community's values, attitudes, and beliefs. Okay, so we're going to go a little bit more into register as a feature of or something that we discuss in conjunction with context. So register and style is what we're going to be talking about. There are 5 levels of formality or of register style. So they are frozen, formal, consultative, or we usually call it a mixed register, casual, and intimate. So this would be a good place to pause the video and take down definitions of each of these. So we have the formal ones on the side are frozen and formal. The informal ones are on the right-hand side. So we have casual and intimate, and then consultative or mixed is down the bottom there. So frozen is when the words that we use do not change. So that would be for things like oaths, like in a courtroom, for example, things like the Miranda rights. If you watch crime shows, you might have heard that. Anything you do or say can be held against you in a court of law. Don't quote me on that. It's definitely not exactly it, but you know what I'm talking about. Prayers, pledges, those kinds of things are all in a frozen register. Then we have formal. So this is the word choice and sentence structure that's used by business and education, for example. You might also find it in legal documents, anything where they're trying to obviously sound formal, but it's not a frozen register. It's not always in that same kind of construction. Casual is the language used in conversation with friends. It's idiomatic, which means there's lots of idioms. There's lots of little set phrases and sayings, and it's full of slang. It's also, this register is a marker of group membership, which we will talk about more later on in the year. But basically it means that you're only going to use this register with people who have kind of similarities with you in some sense. You have a certain level of closeness. Intimate is the private language shared between two individuals. It can be obviously like lovers, boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever. Or it can be just close relationships like twins, best friends. It basically is just the particular kind of language that you use with one particular person. And then consultative or mixed register is a mix of both, appropriate to the context. So you might have, for example, really informal language used in a written ad, and then at the end you might have formal register where it outlines the terms and conditions. Okay, so for example, legalese is a variety of English used in Australia's legal system. So within that, we have examples of all of the different kinds of registers. So we have frozen, which would be things like written documents such as wills that always take the same shape. Witness pledges, exactly the same, always the same language that's used there. Formal might be written in statutes and briefs or spoken in the courtroom during arguments, examinations of witnesses. Consultative might be the dialogue between lawyers and clients. So you're going to have definitely some informal language there, but you'll also have some more formal language used by the lawyers and the law terms as well. Casual could be in-group conversations between lawyers or between clients, possibly. And intimate between the close friends or families of the lawyers. So outside of their job, they're likely to use more intimate register. Okay, this would be a good place to pause and take down some examples. So style is always a matter of linguistic choice. It involves all the subsystems, but the lexicon always shows an impressive stylistic range. So in this table, obviously you can see the columns for all of the different styles. What we have there is examples of synonyms within the different registers. So this would be a good place to pause and take examples of each one. Okay, style. So not only must the choice of style be appropriate for the setting, it must be consistent as well, so that all the lexical items need to form part of the same style, and then the other subsystems should conform within that. Varieties tailored to a certain situation are called registers. They refer to the style of language adopted by a speaker or writer to suit their purpose. I'd like you to pause here, please, and complete Apply Your Knowledge on page 132. So basically what we're saying is the language that's used needs to match the purpose of the piece. For example, this is an example of a recipe text, and we can see that in the boxes around the side there, we've got all of the different features that make this register appropriate to the text type. So for example, we've got no function words in the ingredients section. So if we look at 1/3 of a cup of soy sauce, we've omitted of there because that fits with the text type. It fits with the context that this piece is written in. There's an exclusive use of imperative sentences because that fits again with the register of the with the text type. So it's not saying please combine soy sauce or if you wouldn't mind, could you please combine blah 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 blah. It just tells us imperatively what we have to do. There's simple sentences. The lexis is associated with the field of cooking. There's a frequent use of conjunctions to place information in appropriate sequences. So things like then blah 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 blah. There's inclusion of an image of a final product to support the function of the text, which is to instruct someone on how to make this honey soy chicken. And then there's headings and subheadings used to draw attention and aid clarity as well. So you know where the ingredient starts and ends and where the method starts and ends, and you have the title at the start to show what this recipe is actually for. Okay, so what I want you to do now is watch the clip from the TV show Upper Middle Bogan. And so this is an Australian comedy series which follows Bess, who you'll see in the video, and her family after she finds out she's adopted. She finds her biological family who are Bogans. So after watching the clip, you need to write a short paragraph outlining both the situational and the cultural context of the language use in the clip. And if you want an extension, you could also write another short paragraph about the register, the style that's being used in the clip with some examples as well. So you'll find this video on the Google Classroom. So go and watch that and complete this task, please.